a subject data. So this is the subject value for each variable. If you remember before, the first variable that I had was gender. So this first row is now specifying which gender each participant is. So in column 1, we look in the gender value, it's a 1. So that means they're a female. Same thing with the second participant is female. We get over to the 5th participant in the 5th column. It's a 0, so that's going to be a male participant. I think that's the way it was coded. So again, each row is a different variable, and each column is a subject. The project is going to ask you to calculate the means and the standard deviations for the first 6 subjects. Again, you already know how to do this, but really quick review: analyze, basic statistics. You want to get rid of the things we had in here before, remove, and add in your first 6 columns, which are your first 6 subjects worth of data. And then you want to come down here and click on the statistics that you want. So we keep N, but let's get rid of min, max, and then we just want mean and standard deviation because that's what the project asks for. You can hit OK, and we're brought back to our output file. Let's scroll down. So here is what you want down here. Again, do whatever you want. You can copy and paste it into Word or just print it out, up to you. But again, we have the mean for all of subject 1's values across all of the variables, and same for 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6 subjects. The project asks you to comment on what these values actually mean and to say whether or not they're meaningful. I won't give you the answer to that, unfortunately. You're going to have to figure that one out yourself, but I'm sure you'll be able to. Okay, so let's get back to the rest of the project. Let's see. Alright, so we should be up to like number 4 now, and we really don't need this T order save database that we created anymore. We're done with it. You'll want to save it on your computer somewhere, but we're done with it for now. So we can just close it. I don't know why it stayed open. Alright, so I'm going to go back to data 1. You can pull that file back up again at this point. File, open, data, and we want to do data 1. Okay, so question 4 asks you to create a new variable, and then it also asks you to merge 2 data files. Again, I'm not going to do exactly what the project asks you to do, but I will show you how to create a new variable and also to merge 2 data files. So first things first, let's create a new variable. The project is going to ask you to create variables W average and M average, and each of those variables is going to be the mean of either 2 or 3 other variables that are in the data sets. So I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to pick 2 random variables to create a new variable that's the mean of the 2 variables. So I'm interested, let's say I'm interested in, this isn't going to really make conceptual sense, but masculinity and femininity. And I want to know, what is each participant's mean or average across masculinity and femininity? I just want a new variable that's going to be the average of these 2 scores for each person. The way that you would do that is to, in MYSTAT, it's going to be data transform let. So I'm interested in the average of masculinity and femininity, so I'm going to come down here to variable, and right away I'm going to type in the name of the variable I want to create. So for you guys on the project, that's going to be W average or M average, whichever one you're doing first. And for me, that's going to be, I'm going to call mine average mask fem. And then the next thing you have to do is tell MYSTAT how to compute mask fem. And we said we want it to be the mean of masculinity and femininity, or the average of those 2 variables. So you're going to come up to function type, drop down to multivariable, click on average down here, add it to our expression box, and the next thing you're going to do is tell MYSTAT which variables you're averaging. So you'll just come up here to the available variables, and for me I'm going to click, here we go, mask. If you double click, it'll go straight down, and then fem, and it automatically adds a column in for you. That's nice because the syntax has to be exactly like this or it won't run. Let's say you wanted to add in a third one, or let's say it's not working. Let's say you accidentally only click once and it doesn't add. You would just hit expression to add a third variable, or whichever variable you're adding, and it'll add it to the expression. Right now we're only going to do 2, but that's what it would look like if you were doing 3. The big thing to make a note of here is that there's 1 comma in between the variables. Each variable that you put in, it'll automatically do it again if you just double click. So it looks good. Average masculinity, femininity. We're going to compute that by hitting OK. Okay, now let's look all the way to the right in our database. You'll see this new average masculinity, femininity variable. And just to double check that we've done it correctly, let's take, it's supposed to be the average of the 2 values. So let's go back to the first participant's values for masculinity and femininity. If you were to average 2.875 and 3.5, it comes out to 3.1875. And so 3.188 looks good to me. Looks like we did it correctly. So again, you might want to do that just until you're comfortable with using statistical software. Just double check that you're doing it correctly. You're going to have to do that with a couple of variables, but I'm sure you'll be fine. It's pretty straightforward. The next thing that you're asked to do in the project is to merge 2 different files. Like, you were already prompted to create a data file called merge1 and a second data file called merge2. Just to keep things different, so I'm not showing you the exact answers to what the end product should look like, I've created my own files called merge1 and merge2. I'm going to go ahead and open up my merge1 file. If you don't have your merge1 file opened, you can go ahead and do that now. Okay, so here we go. We have merge1. This can close. We don't really need this right now. All right, so merge1. If you want to merge it with a second file, you would go to Data, Merge Files, and we are adding variables. We're not adding any new cases, which would be new subjects. We're just adding variables. So we're going to click that option. And this is pretty straightforward too. You would just click, for file 1, we want merge1. And the second file we want to merge it with is going to be merge2. So you just click on the dots, add merge2. If I were to just hit OK from this point and not touch anything else, it would give me a database literally with all of the variables from this one and all of the variables from this one combined. Just to make it a little bit more organized, I'm going to go to key selection. And because both of those databases have ID in the file, I'm going to signify that ID is a key variable. So I want MYSTAT to match up the variables with the ID number, just to make sure that we're not, adding, mismatching data with participants. So that's okay. Come back to the main screen. And the last thing you want to do is just click Save File As, and in the project you're asked to save it as merge without any numbers, so you just type in merge. And you can click OK. Sure. Yes. You won't have so many pop-ups. I've just done this a million times, so it keeps asking me if I want to replace the files I already made. So here's our new file, merge. And this was I had created merge1, which had up to here, I think, with the first few variables, and then a second one which had ID and then all of these variables here. And it just merged them, and you'll notice that there's only one ID file, and it matched up, ID one's values for these, and then added in ID1's values for these variables, and it gives you a nice clean merged data set. So that's pretty much it, I think, for merging data sets. So I think we're all set with that project. I hope this video is helpful. If not, you can shoot me an email with any questions.